There's been an increase in community cases in the past few weeks, and some cases have been detected in our schools as well.
Coming up tonight, as a new school cluster emerges, it's revealed that 129 students have caught COVID-19 over the last 3 months. If you're heading out to markets and hawker centres this weekend, don't forget to bring along your Trace Together app or token. And stung by his poor performance, Joseph Schooling tells the Straits Times he can't bear to watch the race on replay. This is the Straits Times Newsnight. Good evening, I'm Chow Su-en. Now, despite the recent surge in COVID-19 infections, Singapore schools remain safe places for learning. That is the message from Education Minister Chan Chun Sing, after 129 students and 17 school staff have tested positive for the coronavirus over the last 3 months. This is about 0.03% of the total student population from primary to pre-university levels. In a Facebook post, Mr. Chan also revealed that while some parents are keen on schools transiting to full home-based learning, he argues that full HBL on a prolonged basis comes at a significant cost to students' learning and social-emotional as well as mental well-being. His post comes in the wake of a new cluster linked to a cleaner at Punggol Primary School, which has grown to 12.
I would like to reassure fellow parents that our schools remain safe places for learning. We have implemented various safe management measures to minimize transmission risks. We have put in place surveillance measures to detect potential COVID-19 cases and to keep them out of our schools as much as possible. And we'll continue to adopt a targeted approach to deal with the positive cases in our school. This means that when we find a positive case, we will isolate the context of the positive case, and in exceptional circumstances, we may put the entire level or the entire school on home-based learning to break any possible transmission within our school.
Tightened COVID-19 measures have been rolled out at all markets and hawker centres. Now, all visitors to such places in Singapore are required to check in with their Trace Together app or token. Temporary fencing has been set up at the locations to limit the access points, and personnel will be progressively deployed to man safe entry check-in points at such markets and hawker centres, with priority given to peak periods like meal times. The Health Sciences Authority has approved 11 applications for private hospitals and clinics to import China's Sinofarm vaccine under the special access route, and the plan is to administer the first jabs in August. However, these providers must abide by certain conditions, including a restriction on how many doses can be brought in. Additionally, these vaccines are not subsidized by the government and are not covered under the Vaccine Injury Financial Assistance Program. Now, taking a look at the daily COVID-19 numbers, 139 new cases were confirmed today, 131 locally transmitted and 8 imported. Of the local infections, 79 are linked to previous cases and 52 are currently unlinked. And experts are warning that the number of severe COVID-19 cases is expected to increase here. The reason being that in the last 2 weeks, the number of patients in intensive care units or those requiring oxygen supplementation has tripled, and there has been a rise in the number of unvaccinated people getting infected. Experts are also telling us that the next few weeks are crucial for Singapore, and vaccination rates are key to Singapore's reopening. Professor Dale Fisher, Senior Consultant at NUH's Division of Infectious Diseases, tells us more.
We know we've got about 55% people now that are fully vaccinated, but we also know that we're at about 77% if you include first jabs. So therefore, in 3 to 4 weeks, we're going to be pushing 80% fully vaccinated. So that's the number that's going to determine whether we move into an endemic phase.
And in other news, the plan for Dover Forest has been revised, with public housing expected to be launched in the eastern half next year, while the western half is set aside for now to preserve its biodiversity. Earlier this year, the Nature Society Singapore had raised concerns over the zoning of Dover Forest for residential use, citing the need to protect animal and plant species and create more green spaces for the public. Now, only the eastern half of the 33-hectare site will be developed in the nearer term. The plan is to develop about 11 hectares of land in the eastern half for public housing projects. The first of the flats there are expected to be launched in the second half of next year. The western half of the site will be set aside for now and re-looked at in about a decade. But parts of this segment, which is richer in biodiversity than the eastern half, will be carved out and safeguarded as a nature park. And with a view like that, it's no wonder that this 5-room housing board flat in Bishan has sold for a record $1.295 million just this month, smashing the previous high of $1.268 million in June. The unit at Block 273A Bishan Street 24 was sold just 3 weeks after it was put up for sale. It sits above level 35 and has around 89 years left on its lease. It has been a really rough couple of days for Singapore swimming star Joseph Schooling. The morning after he lost his Olympic title, Schooling admitted his poor performances have stung him. In an interview with the Straits Times at the Tokyo Aquatic Centre today, the 26-year-old said he was so upset by his race in the 100-metre butterfly heat the previous night that he does not even want to watch it replayed on video. He clocked 53.12 seconds to finish last among 8 swimmers in his race and placed 44th out of the field of 55. ST sports correspondent Sazali Abdul Aziz and associate sports editor Rohit Brijnath tell us about their chat with Schooling.
He knows his times in Tokyo have not been good. He knows there's a lot of work to be done. And basically he's told himself that he needs to trust his coaches and trust the process more. He identified a couple of things about the preparation and about the journey to Tokyo, which he felt he could have done better. He didn't elaborate in fine detail, but he said, he and his coaches have or rather he and his coach and his team have sort of looked back at the last 15 months and seen a couple of things they can work on. Having said that, he is still resolute. He says compared to exactly about 2 years ago when he was at the Guangzhou World Championships, he's in a much better place now physically, mentally, how he approaches races, and he just wants to keep moving forward.
It's very clear that he still has speed left in it. I think what happens often after defeat is that, obviously athletes are really stung. They take a little while to think about it. And I think, when he gets back to Singapore and, he has a solitude of SHN, he's going to really think about what he needs to do. But definitely, I think he wants to show people and he wants to show himself that he can still be fast.
And there's plenty of action left in the Olympics yet, with athletics taking center stage this weekend. The big question, who will be stepping into Usain Bolt's shoes in Tokyo and be the world's fastest man? There's one name on everyone's lips, Trayvon Bromell, the 100-meter favorite who won the US Olympic trials held a few weeks ago with a winning time of 9.80 seconds. The 26-year-old American will be seeking his first Olympic medal after missing out 5 years ago in Rio when he finished last in the 100-meter race won by Bolt. And that wraps up the Straits Times Newsnight. Do visit straitstimes.com to see more news and videos. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel by hitting the button below. Keep safe, and I'll see you on Monday.